Hello, everyone. This is Brother Benson Media, and I'm joined with three of my panelists here. That is Mr. Barack, Makobura, and Miguda. And we are also joined with the Gibson Corner on the comment section. He say, anasema kwamba drama never ends. Okay, let me take this opportunity to welcome my panelists, and I would start with Barack. Barack, how are you doing, sir?
Greetings, Brother Ben and my co-panelists, Bwana Mark and Miguda. I'm doing well and so so happy to join here. And I extend my greetings to Gypsy Corner. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much. Miguda, how are you doing?
I'm faring on very well.
Yeah.
I'm doing just good. Just to extend my greetings to you people and also our friend from the comment section.
Okay, thank you so much. Makobura, how are you doing?
Good evening. Mimi niko salama hapa, nashukuru pia. Naona okay, I can see a new friend called moderator saying happy to be here today. I think I know that friend of ours, anaitwa Kevo pia.
Okay, is your namesake?
Yeah, so karibu Brother Kevo na wale wote ambao wamekuja leo. Karibu.
Okay, asante sana. Unajua kuna mengi ambayo labda tutazungumzia leo sana sana kwa sababu Kenya hapakosi vituko na pakosi drama. Tuko nayo kama venye ndugu yangu dada yangu anasema pale. Na unajua kuna ile watu wanachukua kauli ya kung'atua Esther Passaris. Barack, do you think the recall of Esther Passaris will see the light of the day?
Recalling a legislature is a very long process that is so complex.
Yeah.
I don't think it might materialize even in fact during the remaining 2 years in office.
Yeah.
So it is a good thing to initiate, but to see it to completion is not very easy. Another issue, I know that being a member of ODM, I know politicians, when one of them is threatened, they will come together to save one of their own. So I don't see it succeeding.
And that one was really observed. I remember when the Gen Z came out, and all of a sudden we saw the political class came together, and they say that when their family is targeted, they will always come together. So that is also something that was said during the Gen Z protest. Miguda, do you think? Yeah, Miguda, do you think it will be actualized?
I think yesterday I tried to explain it because in the Constitution it's just a provision that right to recall. Then you go to paragraph A, right to recall a member of parliament is guaranteed, but there's no further explanation into details. Then you go to the next article. So I think recalling a lawmaker is not easy. Even if you go back to the people for public participation, maybe the people in the constituency are divided right into the middle. So how many people will allow public participation to occur to the constituency? She can send goons to interfere with the public participation as well. She's well connected right now. She can also compromise the IBC. You understand? So I don't think it is going to be. It is something that is not easy. It's next to impossible about recalling member of parliament in the country, in Kenya.
You see, what is quite even more making it more kind of like difficult for you to recall, especially like Esther Passaris. She's representing Nairobi County. Remember, she's not representing a constituency. You know, for a constituency, it might be quite much easier. But now, this is Nairobi, the entire Nairobi County, and collecting all those signatures vis-a-vis the number of voters that we have in Nairobi County, you know, and all the wards that, or all the constituencies that we have in Nairobi County. But this one is a very good message for her, especially for the next general election. Tells her that maybe general election she might not make it to the August out. Makobura, what do you think? Oh, Makobura is not there.
Okay. Amir.
Okay.
I'm saying that I think what is happening with the members of parliament is the majority of them are not really being understood by their electorates. And so we've seen not just Esther Passaris, I think we have some others. We have some other numbers, some other legislators that have also facing the same. And it can go through depending on the mood of the house. But one thing, just like my good friend has said, it depends on the members of parliament, because remember, they have a bigger say on what is going to happen next. But again, we also have to know that the executive also plays a role. And being that all those laws and everything that is trying to bring forth are in support of the state.
Yeah.
So the state, of course, would also use whatever it takes to protect her from being thrown out. I don't think it's going to be easy. It's not an easy process.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And just before we go into the main discussion, and I think this one Opondo Kaluma did it before the resolution from the highest organ in the ODM party. And Kaluma was saying this, Homa Bay Town MP Peter Kaluma has demanded the resignation of removal of Nairobi Senator and ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna for what he claims is fueling confusion within the party. So that is something that he updated in his X-Space today before the highest organ of the party met. But now let's focus ourselves in the resolution that came out from ODM, and especially for quite a few days ago or a few months, we've had this back and forth of ODM, especially you look at those who are supporting the government and those who are not supporting the government. And today the highest organ of the party met and they came up with the resolutions, and we want to look at these resolutions and ask ourselves, are they going to be really actualized? And because if you look at them, these are some of the things that have always been in the public domain. And there's a question that somebody asked, one of the journalists asked Edwin Sifuna, and he said that this was the position of the party, and is the position of the party, and is from the leader of the party. So what we understand from this, you find that some of the some of the suggestions that have always been flouted around by the Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga, you find them, they appear on the highest organ of the party. So which means his word is paramount in the party. Even if it goes to the highest organ of the party, they will still agree to it. So that is something that I observed. And one of the resolutions that came out from that was that the party supports the position of the party leader. So listen to that. The party supports the position of the party leader, the Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga, to work with the Kenya Kwanza administration to stabilize. Talking about stabilization, stabilize the country and create enabling environment for Kenyans to address their concerns through democratic and constitutional means. Barak, thank you so much. Do you agree that the organ had this unanimously, like somebody came out and decided this is what we are going to do, or this is something that was suggested by the party leader and they say this is what we are going to do?
Thank you. You know, we've talked about political parties here in Kenya for some time now, and I think it is very clear that political parties have their owners, and they are like enterprises for these party leaders. That is why you will see that the party leaders are very key, and politicians who are allied to them, they somehow behave like sycophants because they want to maintain support and favor from these political leaders, these party leaders. And even at some extent, you see that some politicians have been receiving direct tickets from these party leaders based on their loyalty to the party. And you know, loyalty to the party has been very key in Kenya, where politicians are awarded depending with how loyal they are. And even that extends also to appointments to different positions, not only in parliamentary leadership, but also even in the executive. Because you can see ODM, when they joined the broad-based government and they decided to donate experts, apart from that lady from Turkana, these others were the heavyweights of the party, two deputy party leaders, the party chair, and also the minority leader of the party in the National Assembly. So it shows you how loyalty to political parties rewards politicians in this country. So that shows you that even this resolution that they come up with after meeting, be it the highest organ, be it the lowest organ, they are all directives from the party leader. Because they treat these parties like their own properties, and their wishes is like a command. And even when even those who hold positions like a secretary general, chairperson, I don't know, organizing secretary, or whoever position that, whichever position is within that party, they hold those positions at the discretion of the party leader. Even parliamentary leadership, those who hold political parliamentary leadership, be it a committee member or a chair of any committee, they do so at the discretion of the party leader. And once the party leader, you fall out of favor with the party leader, my friend, you will be removed the next day. And that's all. And that's why you see the people like Babu Wino, people like Joe Caleb Amisi, people, they are making noise out here because they fell out in favor and they were not considered to lead any committees in parliament. And that is based on their loyalty to the party leader, not to the party, to the party leader. So all these issues, they are just resolution for the party leader.
Okay, let me ask you about this, because like talking about the issue of the party leader and looking at the situation where we are, and you look at the chronology of what happened between the time when the Right Honorable Prime Minister had an interview in one of the televisions, then followed by Edwin Sifuna, then those bitter exchange amongst the party members, and now we have the neck meeting. Do you feel like this is something that was scripted, at least to heading somewhere? Because the way it is happening, especially, you know, and it was also used maybe to push agenda, especially because, like, you know, that the KK is breathing on the oxygen of the ODM now, because by creating all those confusion, there was a narrative that is being pushed.
Yeah, that might be another scenario, because you know, Kenyan politicians are very cunning, and they create a crisis so that they can benefit from that crisis. So that's also a possibility, because you know, after the Sifuna interview, there was expectation that he will be sanctioned by the party and might be disciplined by the party. But what is coming out is like it was just a choreographed scheme, maybe to achieve a political agenda that maybe is not very clear to the public at this moment. But you know, ODM might be testing the waters, both sides, to read the public mood, and also so that they can come up with an idea, with a strategy, either to exit the government or to remain in the government. Because so it just maybe somehow to test the waters and see the response from the public, so that eventually they will say, okay, based on maybe ABCD, we have decided to take this direction because we believe as a party that this is the right direction. So, and you know, even Ruto being a smart politician, I know he's not putting all his eggs in ODM basket, because he knows that he knows even the history of Raila himself. He has really played smart sometimes with some other politicians. So, as a politician in Kenya, you cannot trust your fellow politician and put all your eggs in his basket or her basket, because they can jump out of your ship at any time. Because there are so many reasons to break up with even in a relationship. If someone wants to break up with you, even if it's your wife or your husband, there are so many reasons. So I believe that maybe, but I'm not certain. They were trying to test the waters so that they can come up with a strategy, either to exit the government or maybe to remain in the government.
Okay, thank you so much. And be good. I will engage you in matters to do with the legal, especially when it comes to point number 2, because the point number 2 says that in order to expedite the implementation of the 10-point agenda of the MOU, ODM will constitute a technical team to work with UDA counterpart as part of the political infrastructure, such as the technical committee, which is contained in the MOU as the missing in the implementation of the document of great concern. Is the full implementation of the NADCO report, promotion and protection of the livelihoods of young people, the right to peaceful assembly, protest the rule of law and constitutionalism, corruption, and wastage of public resources. When you look at the number 2 talked about the constitutionalism, talk about the memorandum of understanding and giving the corruption and everything. And when you're very keen enough, all this number 2 is addressed in our constitution. And now my question is, if this is the MOU is a gentleman agreement, because this agreement cannot be enforceable in the law, in our courts. Because remember, when we had the memorandum of understanding or the grand coalition that was there, it was anchored, especially it was anchored in the law, and it was structured. I would use that word. I think that one can be more heavy. It was a structured agreement. But when you look at this seems to be a gentleman agreement between two parties, and what they are calling for, even implementation, all these are found in the Constitution. If we cannot implement them the way they're anchored in the Constitution, what surety do we have that the technical team that is going to be appointed are going to make sure that all this is implemented, the gentleman agreement, in terms of law? And can you enforce it? Maybe take somebody to court, like we agreed that you should do this and you did not do it, so we need a compensation.
Okay. First, I would like to agree with you that the provisions are within the Constitution of Kenya. That I agree with you that everything is the Constitution. Picketing, assembly, protest, they are in the Constitution. But now, these people want to do it outside. And they said expeditiously that, to me, there's a delayance. So they need it to be very quick, expeditiously. That's why they are forming steering committee for technicality of maybe. But before I delve into my point, when I heard Sifuna reading that point, I asked myself, are ODM people forming the steering committee by themselves, or even the UDA counterparts are going to be in the steering committee? That's what I asked myself. Then they want to implement the MOU. It's like after the meeting, there was a consensus that let's have a win-win situation.
Yeah.
Whereby the party leader, Baba, is suggesting that let's remain in government. The party SG is saying that we can't remain in government because the 10-point agenda MOU has not been honored. Now, when you are in a negotiation, you must negotiate with your party partner. You must come to a consensus, and you must have a win-win situation whereby you won and your partners also won. So for them to have a win-win situation, Baba has to retain the MOU, but under strict condition that it must be implemented, because as things are, it has not been implemented. So for Sifuna, if it is implemented, then Sifuna is good. He got no issues. But to Baba, whether implemented or not implemented, provided there is that MOU, is fine. So the consensus has been made that let us retain the MOU under strict assurance that the committee must come out to steer the implementation. That is why they came to consensus. And people can misquote Baba or Sifuna. If you have done negotiation, you will understand what has happened, or mediation, or arbitration. So if you are in a room and you are in a crisis or crisis, you don't need to bring more damage to the party. You need to ensure that you come to consensus whereby there's a win-win situation whereby the other party has won, you also has won. I think that is what has happened. They have followed the rules of negotiation. And it's just like when you are having your spouse.
But now, when you look at the legal terms enforceable, do you see that in the event that it doesn't work out? Because, like, bearing in mind this memorandum of understanding has taken long, is not something that is very new in the Kenya political arena, and the implementation has not taken place. So do you feel that even with the technocrat coming in, it is enforceable? If, let's say, the Kenya Kwanza decide, no, we don't need the technocrats, we will do it by ourselves.
Yeah, I'm getting you there.
Okay,
I'm getting you there. If you're having your spouse, and maybe you are you promise her or to buy her cloth, in case you are a man, then maybe the clothes was costing 1,300. Then you have taken a week without being committed. Then all of a sudden, your partner say, okay, because you have failed me, you can't purchase me clothes. I have gotten 650. Hand me more 650 so that I can have the cloth, because I'm not that clothes. So that means it's a win-win, whereby she had the cloth, but at least you have paid half of the price. That's what has happened. So when it comes to the issue of law, it's a bit technical, because remember the MOU was initially, to me, it was a contract. And you know that all contracts are agreements, but all agreements are not contract. And a contract which was signed, it was valid, but now the issue of, and it was formal. Now the issue of enforceability, it ought to be enforced at that time when the contract was made. That's why people are saying, as far as things are seen or concerned, it is dead as dodo, because there are, since the signing of that contract, Ojwang was killed in police custody. Abductions are on. That's why when they go back to retreat, they have decided to negotiate to come to a consensus, because it was enforceable. So there's a time whereby if I made an offer to you and you accept, then we have gotten into a contractual agreement. That is, Ruto made an offer to Raila and Raila accepted. Now they're in a contractual agreement. But there are some circumstances whereby a party has failed to honor the agreement. You can terminate. That was Sifuna wanted to do. Sifuna was just acting within the confine of law. That why can't we terminate? Because the offer was made to us, it's not us who offered, us we do just acceptance. We can still terminate. But Baba has seen that, let us not terminate. Let us ensure that we enforce the contract. That is now outside the constitution. So after it has been enforceable, or they have come to a time whereby they have implemented the 10-point agenda. Now they can come out with a resolution that as the steering committee, because you understand that people don't want dialogue, people don't want conclave, people think that now NADCO is not being implemented. So why can't we have, because this is our thing, ODM and UDA. Let us resolve it as our thing. Let us have the steering committee from the UDA and ODM. Then we bring to the people the resolution which are favorable. Then we can have a question whether do you support this or not to the people. And I think that is now what they are going to work going forward. A question is coming to the people that after this one. So the question which is coming now, this is where you bring it in the terms of constitution, whereby if the question was originated from the steering committee or the question was originated from the people, is it now going to be enforceable and put in a structured in relevance to the Kenyan law? That is now, I believe that's now they want to link it with the conclave. That this is a resolution. Now, when people come together and discuss, why can't we work on these resolutions? Then the question comes. So when the question comes, is this question going to be incorporated in our law in a structured manner? So for it to come, I think they're trying to be futuristic. Can we have a referendum? That's the question they're trying to bring.
Okay, thank you so much. And that is what I want to engage Makobura on, especially about referendum. And the reason why I'm talking about referendum, remember, there's one of the some among the points that were in the NADCO report was about to do with the leadership, whereby we were going to create the opposition, the opposition, the deputies, and the prime minister post, and they want that documentation, like that NADCO report to be implemented, bearing in mind that if you look at the time frame that we have from now and 2027, when we are going to have election, time is very short. So to you, if indeed that this is going to create that path to see on how the NADCO report is going to be implemented, how are we going to support, especially, or how are we going to finance the referendum? Because we'll have to, because we are dealing with the leadership, the core of our constitution, especially changing the leadership. How do you see the country, especially working on the creating the prime minister post by going through referendum, and the same time we are prepared for an election that is coming in the next 2 years?
Okay, thank you. Personally, I've always wanted that we, as the people, we look into the constitution that we have and possibly we do some few rectification in it. But one thing that really surprises me is the fact that instead of the political leaders coming up with issues, looking into issues which are there in the constitution which are affecting the people, what they are really doing is they still want to create positions. And this is some of the things that, as the young people of the Republic of Kenya, we've been seriously against such kind of moves. And we know that the BBI, the NADCO, all these things, all these conversations that which we've always had as a country, of course the ones spearheaded by the political parties, majority of these conversations are always to to help or to assist the political class, but in real sense in real sense they are not in any way all helping or assisting the wananchi. So we are seeing that, of course, they are trying to push NADCO and all these other things to referendum. But what I can say is that a referendum is one very costly affair or one very costly thing for the country to do. And if you're going for a referendum, you know, almost a similar amount of money that is similar to the amount that we use for election can be used. And for that reason, if they want to do the referendum, personally, I would advise that it be combined with the national election, so that when people would be going for election, it can also be combined. But that again is going to bring a lot of confusion, and still, of course, is going to affect so many things. But let me just give my take. Going by what is currently at hand, the political parties are pushing for what the referendum, but it is not a priority for now, because I feel from where I sit that all the issues which have been raised by the people of Kenya, these are issues that can be addressed with the same institutions that we have, and of course even with the leadership that we have. The only problem we have is that they have simply ignored to put in place the right measures. The constitution so far is okay, but I understand few of it needs to be looked into. But I don't think it is a priority for now.
Maybe you as a Kenyan citizen who has lived or who has enjoyed the 2010 constitution, and maybe you've interacted with it, if you're given an opportunity, because they're talking about the conclave that will include intergeneration, what suggestion would you have on the new constitution that you feel that if maybe it's kind of like work on can create?
If I am asked as a
Kenyan, your own opinion on the 2010 constitution and where you think it's affecting the people of Kenya.
The 2010 constitution is it's good, I can say so, but there's few that we need to look. One, I feel that the president has a lot of power. The constitution has given the president a lot of power as the head of the government, and have the power that the president has, it is too much. And that is part of the reason why the people of Kenya, from especially if we go for an election today and the president is voted in, a president, let's say, is coming from Luo land, there would be a feeling from the 45 or 46 other tribes that they are not in government. So the issue of winner take it all, for example, is a problem, and it needs to be addressed in the constitution. Some of the powers that are there, for example, appointment, I feel that the National Assembly should be doing the appointments and of the cabinet secretaries, of the PS, and it should be done in this manner. If not technocrats, then it should be given to professionals who have also come to the parliament, professionals who have been elected by the people, and when they're already in the parliament, they can be vetted based on their professionalism and the dockets that they are going to add. If that is not happening, then we need to look for what we call professionals. For example, in the docket of agriculture, we need to look at, while giving that position, we need to give it to someone who fully understands agriculture and someone who has extensive knowledge and is a professional in that field. If you come to, for example, health, you give it to someone who understands health, and that way, when we respect professionalism and when we respect profession and people are given the right opportunities and the right job, we will have an opportunity where people would be showcasing and giving out the best that they have in the field that they are being given. That is number one. Number two, you are muted. I don't know whether you're speaking.
Let me just follow up with you talking about the professionalism and the technocrats that you're talking about, because if you look at before the 2010 constitution, one of the things that especially Kenyans and the leaders were very proud of, they say that when they will be appointing the CSS, they will be appointing the technocrats, but not politicians. But you saw that in 2013, when President Uhuru Kenyatta was appointing his cabinet, he included politicians like Najib Balala, Honorable Charity Ngilu. And now, what constitution, if there be a change, that will be put in place to make sure that that one is happening? Yet in the current one that we have, it was already known that it should be done, and that the politicians are doing it at their own favor, knowing very well that I should not appoint a politician, especially in this. So if you have to change that constitution, because it is something that is there, it's not something that it's not there.
Brother Ben, we, just like I did mention, the constitution is okay, but again, we need to look into few bits of it. And I was speaking first about what I understand with the presidency. I think that the president has a lot of power, and because he has been given a lot of power, these other arms of government, they feel like they're not being respected, and again, they feel like they do not really have enough power, and that is why we are seeing, for example, in the parliament, the president has too much power to an extent that a speaker who should be partial, a speaker who should be neutral, just because the president is there and has what we call the appointing authority, and again, he has a lot of influence and a lot of power. Because of that fear that he has, he cannot really perform his duties rightly. Instead of what he's doing is simply being being controlled. The same, we are seeing similar cases, for example, in the judiciary. You cannot expect that the same president is going to appoint the judges and all these people. It cannot work. These people would be subjective. I mean, they would be respecting the appointing authority, and they would not be having that environment to really perform their duties. They will be having some fear, and this is something that I think that we need to deal with. Something else that we need to do is we need to strengthen and to speak much about how we handle cases of corruption, how we handle people who are mismanaging the economy, people who are involving themselves into corrupt dealings, people who are misusing the economy. They can be misusing it in several ways. One, they're given opportunity. Instead of using the opportunity, they use the opportunity to enrich themselves, among others. We need to have a very strict rule so that, and it should be put in the constitution, so that when you are found, after you have been taken through the whole process of court and everything, and you're found that you're guilty, you need, then there's need to be a serious punishment so that people do not take that advantage. I think that way, the greed and all those things that we are seeing in this environment would not happen.
Okay, thank you so much, Makubura. And I just want to remind our viewers, like, our country, Kenya, is among the country in the world who has a commission that is dealing with anti-corruption unit, but you still find that we still do, I would say we still do good in through corruption, that we still, people are still involved in corruption, despite the fact that we are amongst the few countries in the world that has that agent or anti-corruption agency that basically deals with anti-corruption. So there's so many things that we would talk about, especially when it comes to constitution and what is coming here. Let me just read some of the comments of there's a Langat Musemo Kweli. The biggest problem in Kenya is only one. Mwizi, necessities. We must rescue our country from Mwizi. Muue, Kasongo, by all means. Parliament is the failure. They do business with the executive. Mbadi is an accountant. What are we seeing in the treasury? Yeah, before I invite in Barack, somebody was telling, and I think like if it's not Honorable Okiya Omtata was talking about that the treasury, the Ministry of Treasury should be taken off, because like we should not have it, that we should just only have like central bank. So I don't know whether that one makes sense. Barack, thank you so much, and I want to engage you, because like there are issues that Marco Bura was raising, especially when it comes to constitution and the constitutionalism, that he feels like at some point we need to interrogate our constitution, and there are some areas that we need to make changes. But if you look at areas that we've not been doing good, especially when it comes to law abiding, respecting the constitution and doing what constitution requires us to do, you find that the majority of leaders, especially when you are in power or you're very powerful politically, you tend that we tend to observe when it serves us, and we tend not to observe when it doesn't serve us. So in such a scenario, with even what we have right now of this memorandum of understanding, do you feel that it will reach a point whereby we would say that, okay, this is what constitution requires us to do? Because even at the moment, if it could have been in a country that people are respecters of the constitution, the engagement could have been anchored or could have been structured so that it makes it easy to implement it. Do you see ourselves reaching there, or by making some changes in the constitution can open some spaces and make the country to do well in terms of leadership and even the people that the citizen of the country?
Thank you so much, Brother Ben, for that question. I think we have a big problem as a country. And in my opinion, we are focusing on the wrong problems instead of the right problem. And let me just say that we passed the 2010 Constitution. And after promulgating a very progressive constitution, Kenyans, in their own wisdom, decided to elect people who never supported the constitution to implement the same constitution. And then we start saying that the constitution is not working. You've given an example. I don't know if it's you or Mark who have said that when President Uhuru, the first president to be elected under the 2010 Constitution, the 2010 Constitution has really trimmed a lot of powers from the presidency and distributed it among the other arms of government, for example, the legislature. And one of these is vetting presidential appointments like the CSS, ambassadors, and so on and so forth. Initially, that was not there. So you find that the 20th Constitution was requiring the executive to appoint, the president to appoint technocrats to lead ministries, to serve as the cabinet, the secretaries, instead of politicians initially, the way it was. So when Uhuru Kenyatta appointed Najib Balala and Charity Ngilu into his cabinet, the first under the 2010 Constitution, I remember a journalist asked him the question that the Constitution says that we should not have politicians in the cabinet. How comes you have Najib Balala and Charity Ngilu? And Uhuru Kenyatta said that, yes, the Constitution said we should not have politicians. So these ones, they are not going to play politics. They are not going to do politics. They are going to be non-politicians in the cabinet. So they are there to lead the ministries, serve as technocrats, but they're not going to play politics.
Yeah.
It was the beginning of the problem we are first facing with the Constitution. The Constitution is not bad. The problem is non-compliance of the Constitution. You know, you cannot create new laws if you're not complying with the ones that are existing.
Yeah.
You can, you know, we will be a country of creating laws and laws and laws, and yet the ones that are there, we are not able to comply with them. And that is the problem. Now look at the cabinet right now. How many politicians do we have there and how many technocrats do we have there? You know, it started by 2 in 2013 by Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, how many do we have? And right now, cabinet secretaries are doing politics publicly without fear of the Constitution. Yeah, forgotten about that. So it's not about the president having power, it's about non-compliance of the laws that we have. Yeah. Look at the nonsense we do have in Parliament during vetting of presidential appointments. Have we ever vetted anybody on a serious note? Or we just have a comedy and just to rubber stamp presidential appointments? Yeah. Because we end up with the wrong people holding positions, and they've been vetted and approved by the Parliament. So if Parliament is not complying with the laws that are there, so even if they make how many laws, what is the guarantee that they will comply with those new laws? Yeah. Look at example, my brother talked about having someone who understands the ministry. The previous CS for health, Deborah Mulongo, was a medical doctor. What did he do? What did she do in health ministry? Yeah. So we don't just put people in position because they are maybe they are learned, but we look at the capability of the individual. Because being a cabinet secretary, you are heading a ministry. Yeah. For example, look at Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education that are very essential in terms of offering the social welfare of the state. Yeah. Who are we putting at the helmet of these ministries? Are they capable of delivering? Yeah. We've had ministers before, who have made a name for themselves because they have had the capacity, to make changes and to impact the society with the policy that they came up with. Michuki is one of them, who was very famous for trying to bring sanity on the public transport. All the laws, all the policies that he came up with, and how people were so compliant then, because they were not institutionalized, they were just individual policies. They died with him. And now look at the chaos in our public transport. Look at the madness in our public transport. So it is not about us having more laws. It's about how are we able to comply with what we have right now. If you compare you're speaking about this current speaker fearing them. It's not about the current speaker fearing the president. It's about the current speaker not being able to comply with the laws that are there, because Marende served under the previous constitution that was giving the president all the powers. But he's one of the speakers who understood his role as a speaker, and he led a parliament that was so polarized based on the 2007 elections. But we never saw this kind of madness we are seeing in parliament right now. Can you imagine that the Speaker of the National Assembly currently is leading empowerment projects of the executive, and talking about one term and two term as Speaker of the Nation, who is heading an arm of the government? Can you imagine? So, in my opinion, I think it's a matter of political culture. How do we treat? How is our political environment, and how is our politicians playing out in this political environment? Yeah, how is our political culture? And mark you, these are the same individuals who will be elected by the same electorate. Yeah, come 2027, because of how toxic our politics is. So we should call ourselves to order as a society, so that we look into what is really ailing us as a society. Yeah, we might be pointing fingers at the presidency as the individual who is heading the state, but it is more than that. It is more than that. It comes down to us as individuals. Are we complying with the simple laws that are there, or are we thriving in culture of impunity, where we commit crimes and we do all manner of things and we get away with them, and we expect others to obey the same laws? You are muted, Brother Ben.
Okay, you've asked something that we need to ask ourselves, that what is ailing us as a society. So when you go back to the history of the country from the time we got independence to where we are until today, does it mean that the leadership that has been in place, or even the Kenyan people, we do not know what is ailing us? That's why we are where we are, or we know, but just we've decided not to act on what is ailing us. For instance, let's take, for example, when people go for protest and president comes out and say that shoot them in the leg, waende hospitali ndio wapitie hapo, then you find a legislator also calling for the same, that you should shoot to kill. Then again, the same is being called by the CS for interior. Does it mean that we do not know? Those are the scenarios. Another scenario is where, and I usually keep on repeating this because you talked about the Speaker of the National Assembly. Here we had a court ruling that gave out that the Azimio are the majority in parliament, and this was informed by the decision based on how people voted, especially in terms of representation, because Azimio had more members that represented people in parliament, so that's why they were given the majority. But after that court pronouncement, the memorandum of understanding they've decided to ignore, and now we are coming here, and among other things that we're talking about constitutionalism. Yeah, how are we going to practice constitutionalism, or it's going to be very selective on what we are going to imply constitution, or how are we going to live in a constitutionalism manner? Yet some of the things that have been pronouncements that have been made, especially in the courts, are not respected. How? Maybe if you can let us know,
Yeah, I think the issue here, when we talk about constitutionalism, and even when the politicians were saying during BBI that Uhuru Kenyatta was saying that it was a constitutional moment for the country.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with the political class is that when they talk about constitutional amendments or changing the constitution, they are talking about how to create more seats within the constitution, or how to ensure that their interest is secured.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, BBI was meant to come up with something, a second tier between the governors and the executive and the national government and the county government.
Yeah,
wanted to create about 12 seats there to ensure that we have now regional, I don't know, something, and increase numbers of constituencies in some areas. So you find that that is not our problem, because 2010 Constitution created that devolution.
Yeah.
And this was meant to devolve resources and services from the national government to the grassroots level where the people are. But what has happened is that we devolve corruption, we devolve impunity, we devolve all manner of things because of the political culture that we have. And that's why we have counties that have not realized the fruits of devolution.
Yeah.
So when we talk about constitutional moment, are we able to confront the real problems that are ailing our country? From the first regime of Kenyatta, of Jomo Kenyatta, the second regime of Moi, the third regime of Kibaki, the fourth regime of Uhuru Kenyatta, and now we are the fifth regime of Ruto. The problems of these countries have been multiplying and multiplying and multiplying. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And the focus is, can we amend the constitution and create more seats? Can we amend the constitution and I don't know, create another layer of the government? But we are not. What is really our problem? The culture of impunity that has been with us for many years, corruption, nepotism, yeah, and let me just say that the culture where we focus on, we've relegated meritocracy and embraced
meritocracy,
nepotism and corruption, and we are having people who are heading very senior positions who are clueless of what they're supposed to be doing in those positions. People are leading organizations, state agencies, corporation. People are CEOs, but they are clueless simply because they are politically connected, simply because they belong to the same tribe with the leaders. They remember the shareholders' ideology. Or because maybe someone had. So this is the problem. Yeah. Let me just ask you a simple question. We are having a government right now where everybody is speaking on behalf of the government, and at the same time, we are having 3 individuals who are drawing salary from the public money, public coffers. One of them is the government spokesperson, Isaac Mwaura. He has 2 deputies, a gentleman and a lady. Let me ask you, what is their role? And which government are they speaking for? Yet we have every CS speaking. We have Farouk Kibet the other side. We have Sudi. We have Wetangula. We have Kindiki. We have everybody speaking on the same government. What kind of confusion is this? And yes, we are paying all these people using our money, our taxpayers. And yet they will say tomorrow that there is no money, there is no capitation. And we have employed people who don't even know what they are doing. They are just getting salary and they cannot even perform single duty. Are we able to talk about these issues that are ailing our society?
And because we know them, we know actually, even you can sit down and evaluate as somebody, especially if you've had an opportunity to work in a managerial position, or you are given an opportunity to work in any company, because sometimes you see from what are we not doing right, because like you have a scorecard, and if it comes that it is marketing, now how can we change the strategies? Because I can remember we were taught something to do with SWOT analysis, and SWOT analysis, especially when you're in a business world and you're trying to compete, you look at what are the weaknesses of that company that I'm having a competition with, and what are my strengths, and how can I make my weakness to be a strength? When I'm not doing good packaging, I can decide to do, because sometimes you find that you can buy a product, not just a product is of quality, but you just buy it because of packaging. Somebody might have a very good quality product, but he doesn't know how to package well for the consumers. But it's when especially if you don't know how to package well for the consumer, the other company will say, okay, the weakness of this company is about packaging. So let me package myself well. So that is something that is happening. Makobura, I want to engage you, especially when you look at the history of this country, especially even in our political parties, every tier that we have, that we always believe that the only way that we can solve the solution is by rewarding the positions. And this has always been a norm. We've been normalized it everywhere, not only in the government, even in the society where we live. Especially, you find that those who are very, very, very powerful, we get them, we use the transaction. Maybe you give them money so that they can support your favor. Not by them supporting you does not solve the issues that you're going through, but just to make sure that you have them. And that, where did we get the culture, especially as a country, and how can we run away from it?
I don't know whether I should donate my time first to Miguda, because I think we've not.
Miguda is back. Okay, Miguda, yes. Let me engage you on this. Thank you so much, Makobura. Miguda, we've seen as a country whereby we reward position for solving the issues. Especially when we are in a crisis, we will tend to reward position. And, so when we reward this position, we think that maybe these issues are solved. But with time, the same issues still crop up. Where did we get this culture, and how can we run away from it as a country?
Okay, got you. And I also thought that I was the one to come before Makobura. Yeah. Okay, thank you for reminding me, brother. So, the issue we have talked about, whenever a country is having a crisis or crisis, to say so, you find out that most of the time we do reward people to calm down the storm.
Yeah,
that is just a temporary solution. That's why we have been doing it, because it is a culture which was established in the country, and it's something we keep on doing it. Because to me, it's a temporary solution to our real problem. And that's why we continue having crisis after crisis after crisis after crisis. That's why we need to Raila said one thing, that even if we put Wamunyoro there, things will not change. What is it that Raila knows about the system that things will not change? So it means they know something about it. These leaders know something about it, that this thing cannot change. So for us, what we can do right now, let us just sustain for the time being. And I was engaging somebody who told me that we are having a budget of 4-point-something trillion, and 1 trillion go for our debts. Then another 1 trillion plus go for our recurrent expenditure. Then the 3 trillion go for consolidated funds. Then the last a billion something goes for development. Now, if they are stealing this development, so it means like we don't have a country. So the country is just settling the loan, it's just settling the recurrent expenditure and consolidated funds. That's so we keep on moving in that systematic. So what do we do to restore our country whereby even if we have a 4 point something trillion, maybe 2 trillion goes for development? Or those are the questions we need to ask. So I believe that there's a culture was established in this country, and the culture was established in the system whereby in case of any crisis or crisis, we reward our opponents or the people based on the strategic. You don't just reward, you reward strategically to ensure that you calm down the storm. And finally you get away with it. It's just to sustain you for 10 years as a president, like Uhuru was sustained for 10 years. Maybe Ruto wants to sustain himself for 10 years. So when you leave, you let the other person continue the problem. But I also wanted to add one thing here before I conclude. People are saying, why is that when we go for the demonstrations on the street, we just talk about Unga? Why not other things?
Yeah, that's a good question. We've made to believe that we survive on food alone. Oh, what does it mean to you? That's what I think. Hello, Miguda. Okay, Marco Bura, let me just even ask you about the same, because seemingly Miguda is, when it comes to the rewarding, and even right now, even if you scan well in the United Opposition, among the list issues in the list, I would say that it's how are we going to reward ourselves? And by rewarding ourselves is who is going to get who is going to get what, and who is going to get what. You see that? And that is what is happening. It's not only the government.
Way of life in Kenya.
We've normalized it, and like that is the way of life, like rewarding for solution. Because like right now, if the opposition are saying, okay, the presidency of President William Ruto is a one-term presidency, yes, what is the first priority? The first priority, okay, is to take Ruto out of power, yes. But in the process of taking it out of power, who is going to be who, and who is getting who, and who is getting who? Do we really consider the professionalism and the educational level, or what do we consider? Or is just something that we are doing for the crisis that we have? Then after that, the crisis will come back, then we go in the same path. Like it's something systematic, we call it so.
Yeah, we have a problem in Kenya. And of course, this is something that has been perfected by the political class. And they understand that they've confused the electorates, they've confused the citizens. While if they throw some few amount of money for the citizens, when the citizens will be scrambling to get the money, 50 bob or 100 bob, they will not be thinking of who is going to lead them. And that is why we have a lot of bribes in Kenya. We've always seen that when we are going for election, we see moneyed people are coming out. Some of them are thieves, some of them are con men and con women. And just because they have the money and they know that Kenyans are blinded with those small amount of money, when they've confused the people, they then get the opportunity to wanapenya. And that is how they get into politics. I've always given you an example that sometimes I sit down and I analyze some of the leaders that we have, and most of the time I do see them being called by the EACC or being called to write statements on issues of mismanagement of funds. And then I ask myself, well, these are people who have had problems, and some of them were actually sent away from their roles while they were serving, were in whichever positions that they were serving. And I've always given an example. There are some governors that while they were serving in other departments, They looted those departments, and then when the law was being followed, you know, a section of people started saying that huyu ni wetu, huyu ni mtu wetu, mbona anapigwa? Leo hii huyo dada ni governor 2 term. And not just that, we've had even members of parliament most of times have been accused of money laundering, and it is true. These are the people who are currently members of parliament. What do you expect if we have elected money launderers, when we've elected people who have been accused of murder and they've killed in broad daylight and there's nothing that is happening to them? Why? I mean, what do we expect when we give a chance to people who have looted different departments? You know, those are the people that they bring us their money and then, you know, wanatuchanganya alafu wanapenya. They are the people who are holding these positions. So these people understand what we have is the political class is surrounded by people, majority of them, people who have tainted images. And they know that if truly there were people responsible and people who really knows and understands what leadership is all about, they will be behind the bars. And that is why these gentlemen, I mean, let me not call them gentlemen, that is why you see these politicians are ganging up. The other day you saw the Gen Zs coming out. They knew that the uprising of Gen Z was a threat to them. And that is why you saw them coming together. Did you not see them coming together, sitting together? Even if they had differences, remember they had political differences that nobody believed that, you know, they would come and sit down and maybe discuss something meaningful. Barack here will tell you, we had an election in 2022, an election that, you know, even the personality of different politicians were attacked. They called each other names. You know, they brought the issue of tribalism to an extent that every Kenyan, in whichever place they were, sometimes they would be asked, wewe unatoka wapi? If you say, for example, wewe ni Mjaluo, the only thing that the people would think or believe is that you voted, for example, you are a supporter of Raila. For example, if you are coming from Murima, they would think that you supported this, so and so. You see, so the political class knows how to confuse the people, and they've mastered that. As a people, I mean, and that is why they are blocking newcomers. You will never see newcomers getting it easy penetrating the political class. That is why you saw the member of parliament of Kasipul died. And what are they trying to bring forth? His son to continue with this legacy, because they want a specific family to continue with this narrative.
But that one, Makobuda, that one depends on the party.
It depends with the party, but party belongs to the political class. These parties, even the people who are in parliament, some of them, the ones that I'm mentioning, I've just told you here, those conmen, those money launderers, they are members of these parties. They are the people who are funding those parties. You remember the death of the senator of Homa Bay? The brother was brought forth. The brother, yes, is performing and is doing well. But, well, why would you give that direct ticket just because he was a brother to so and so? We've seen certain instances. You remember the member of parliament who died in Baringo? The wife is a cabinet secretary. You know, concentration. You concentrate power within a specific family and you lock others who are coming with fresh ideas. I'm telling you, Brother Ben, if I was a member of parliament and God forbid I die, my wife takes over. You know, my wife will only do those things that I was able to do because we are one thing. And when we are in the house, we think together, you know, you speak together. You can never expect anything new. That is why if somebody die, give it to someone who is coming with fresh minds, someone who is coming with fresh ideas, so that we talk about democracy, but we do not practice what democracy is. This issue of elevating relatives, this issue of elevating political, you know, I mean, enclosing these political allies and making it like a family issue. This is a problem, and that is why we are suffering as a country. I don't know whether you saw what the Standard yesterday or the day before yesterday, the issue of expressway and the accusation towards the former president's family.
I think it was nation.
Yeah, and these are the
Because
questions that we are asking. We will not be having such kind of problems if we were truthful, if we were not greed, if we were empowering each other, whether your parents is known or not known, we would not be having this kind of scandals. Part of the reason we are suffering is because the political class, they're using their families, brothers and sisters to enrich themselves, and they are blocking anybody who's coming on the table. And those are things we need to look into. That is my take.
Okay, thank you so much, Makobura. And if you're joining us for the very first time, you can subscribe to Brother Benson Media. So when we are having such like conversation, we can, Joseph, I'm seeing you in the comment section. Today, umesema hiyo M-Pesa ikuji. Okay, Barak, I want to engage you because like there's something that also that I'm seeing is one of the agenda. I don't know whether this one is also is part of the memorandum of understanding, and I feel it is a new demand that has been put on the UDA because like the Kenya Kwanza part of the government. This is the party supports calls for the intergenerational national conference to deliberate on the issues affecting the nation with particular focus on youth agenda, agree on the way forward. Now, we agree, and we need, and sometimes it as a nation, we need to talk, and we need to talk about the issues that are affecting the nation. But remember, this MOU is arrangement between the UDA and Kenya Kwanza. I mean, like the ODM and Kenya Kwanza. Mr. Barak, if we need to talk, and we are now limiting it to agreement, because these technocrats, based on what has been said, that there are technocrats who are going to implement to see this, and this is a new demand because this one came as a result when the Right Honorable Prime Minister was having a conversation. He talked about it. Yeah, he talked about the conclave. He talked about their technocrats. So we are seeing two things that he mentioned, and remember this he was mentioning before even the party met, and these were his own ideas, and they're now incorporated here. Now, what about those who are not in agreement with the Kenya Kwanza? Does the conclave and the MOU, that is the technocrat, are going to see working? Are they going to be incorporated, or this is just going to be between the UDA and the ODM? What about if other Kenyans refuse, that they don't want to involve themselves in this conclave, and they will go on with it, or they just say that, okay, let it die?
Thank you, Ben. I think it is very important for Kenyans to talk.
Yeah.
The only problem is talking about what. That is where the point of, that's the point of departure. What do we talk about as Kenya? Because when we say we should talk, what comes in our mind first is the government. Should we dialogue with the president? Should we dialogue with the government? Should we dialogue with political parties? Now, talking, what should bring together different stakeholders in this talk is what we call a shared reality. For example, we have a country here that all of us belong to, where that all of us call home. Now, why should we come together and talk about our country? We should divorce the government from the equation. We should divorce individual from the equation, and now have the country as the center of attraction, as the agenda, and not have any talk that is geared towards any election or any political party or any individual. Because as a country, we have so many issues that are not going on well. We are worried about our future as a country. We have a debt crisis that was brought by the previous regime, escalated by the current regime. We have a culture of impunity. Yeah, we have the problem of corruption. We have the problem of tribalism. We have the problem of nepotism. Yeah, how do we deal with all this problem? We have education sector that is not really working to the benefit of the common man. And that is why you see many politicians, their children are not learning locally, they are learning abroad. And those who are learning locally are not doing the curriculum that other common people are doing. So why should we talk? We should talk as a country with the idea that we have a country that all of us belong to, and these problems that are facing us, divorce individuals from it, because once we start calling the individual's name, we miss the point. If you remember how Kenya ended up with a new constitution, it is because people came together and they started a process called Ufungamano Initiative, minus the government, minus the politician. And Ufungamano Initiative is the one that brought what we call consciousness among the people and even among the leaders. It's for them to realize that Kenya indeed needed a new constitution. And that is what attracted different stakeholders, came together, and now the talk of having a new constitution started and culminated in Kenya having a new constitution some years later on. So talking together as a country is a good thing, but politicians, individuals, government should not be as key stakeholders, because once they become key stakeholders, it will be about positions. It will be about creating a new layer of government. It will be about sharing positions within government or in parliament or whatever, and that is where we miss the point. And once they share those positions, they assume that now we've sorted out the problem, and the problem continues. Yeah, because problems cannot be shared when individuals share positions, and the common people who are experiencing problems down there do not feel the impact of those solutions. So the solutions must be geared towards solving the problems of the common man there. Because for years we've been solving politicians' problem, neglecting the problems that are facing the common man. And that is why even the new constitution was meant to solve the problems of the common man. And that's why it was called the Wanjiku process, because what the Wanjiku in that context was the common man. But the constitution ended up solving the problems of the politicians. Many politicians got positions, and they diversified their sources of income by now supplying tenders to the county and also to the national government. So you find that if they were only receiving tenders from the national government, now after devolution, they now have two sources of government, sources of income. They now supply tenders to the national county government and supply to the national government. And this is what has been ailing our country for so many years. So it's a good thing for us to come together, to consult amongst ourselves. What solutions can work for us as a country? What direction should we take as a country? And how can we take our country back from the politicians? Because what is happening in this country is a clear definition of state capture. Politicians have captured the state, and everything good is directed toward the politicians, and everything bad is left for the people to scramble for. And until when we take back our country from the politicians, that is when we'll have a country to talk about, and that's when we'll have systems that are working for us.
Okay, thank you so much. And this one goes to Miguda, because always we've known that immediately after election, we will have an opposition, and the opposition always is known that this is a government in waiting, whereby you will always try to work hard to make sure that you correct the ills of the government. Yeah. And now, as we know very well, that the ODM was in Azimio, and maybe they've left Azimio, and now they are working in government. So in a situation whereby the opposition is now working with the government, how then would you say that this is a government in waiting? That is one. Miguda, you can answer that. And also talking about communication, I mean, like having a dialogue or conclave. It is Kel Baraka said that it is we are supposed to talk, and asking about what. Remember, in the Uhuru Kenyatta and Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga, they went across all over the country, especially collecting views. I can remember each and every county, there's something that they represented to the secretariat, and even during the time when the Right Honorable Prime Minister was. And I think like this data they still have. Is there a possibility, Miguda, that the data that they collected during that time can be merged and work on in right now? Miguda, wewe unauliza mambo ya ugali.
I don't.
Hello, tunasikia tu ushapika ugali. Wewe unakula ugali saa hizi bana?
Hiyo ni barak. Huyo ni barak. Mimi pali niko hata sijui hata mambo ya chakula kwa.
Ndio maana nilikuwa nasema nasikia harufu.
Okay, I want to argue on the context of minority and majority in our constitution. You understand that the provision is we have the minority leader and the minority party and the majority party, and it was established in the constitution and to establish that it is the alternative government, whereby we have the government in place and we have alternative government, which means it can as well operation. That's why in the National Assembly we have the minority leader, minority whip. It acts as the watchdog for the public. And that's why the Public Accounts Committee is reserved exclusively for the minority.
Miguda, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm talking. Okay. You can't hear me.
Okay. Continue. You are ulipotea kidogo. Continue.
Okay, I'm saying like the Article 43. You have to create a government objectively, and you have to create a government on issues, not propaganda. You know, they will confuse you. So if you're at the National Assembly, whenever there is a bill like the Draconian Finance Bill, as the minority party, you need to oppose it and also inform members of the public. Whenever government is spending more than the required, you need to object. Even in the budget making process, the budget committee is composed of both the majority and minority party. So the oversight, that is the role of the opposition, the so-called opposition in quote, but me, I will refer to the minority party. And the minority party should be based on issues, because either way, they also come, because this is why I brought it to the issue of parliament. You understand that we elect everybody to parliament, be it minority or majority. Now they are in government. Everybody's government. Those people were elected because they go to the same National Assembly. There's no National Assembly for the minority and National Assembly for the majority. So their role is well established in the Constitution on how they should ensure they act as watchdog for the public into the National Assembly. And also it's applicable all over in the elective position. So to me, that's what I want to base my argument, that it is the minority party which has gone into bed the government in place, because the current budget chair is from the minority party. I think budget chair ought to come from the majority party because budget making process. But it has happened that way, and that's where the confusion is. Now it's like we no longer have the majority and the minority party, the National Assembly. What we have is the broad-based composition of the majority and minority. So we lack the majority party, or we the public lack the watchdog into the National Assembly, so they can decide on how to eat the public, because we no longer have a watchdog inside there. They can decide whatever they want to do. I think that is my stand. Welcome back to you.
Oh, hello. Oh, okay, fine. It was muted. Yeah. Allow me to acknowledge the presence of Mabella #1 at the comment section, Annie at the comment section, Gypsy Corner at the comment section, moderator at the comment section, Father Didi at the comment section. There was also Judith Caretha at the comment section, me Perspectiva at the comment section. I want to remind you that this is Brother Benson Media. If you are watching us, kindly just hit the like button. And if you've not subscribed, kindly subscribe. If you do so, it is a way of supporting us. Na sisi hapa tutasema ni asante. Mr. Barak, there's something that I had talked about, and I was just going through the comment section, and I'm seeing quite a number of comments on that particular thing, and that is the issue of parties and the political leaders. They are giving chances to relatives or close allies or fellow political leaders or political relatives. And, this is something that we've always seen in the Republic of Kenya. If any government comes, you will hear that, for example, this was the son of so-and-so, and they were in government with so-and-so, this kind of narrative. We've always seen it, and part of the reason why I think the people of Kenya are suffering is because this relationship among the political class, it is what has caused a lot of problems, because we've always seen that there are so many deals that these guys are doing, and courtesy of these deals, sometimes they do not really look at the bigger picture. The country do not really benefit, but what we've always seen is it's a benefit that is circulating among the political class. If you remember the government of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, he nominated some people even in some leaders even in the cabinet secretary position. And if you followed, you'll be told that, the father of that cabinet secretary was also a minister in the government, in his father's, government. You see, for example, again, the issues of nomination in the ODM, not just ODM, within the political parties. For example, if a member of parliament dies, we've always seen their son or their brothers or their sister or close relative being given a free ticket. Do you think this is democracy? Is this really the democracy that we are speaking about? And why is it that they are using this tactic? Is it a way of trying to block people with new ideas, Mr. Barak? And, how are we going to get out of this? Because partly you hear many scandals, and the reason why a country cannot continue moving in a progressive manner is because the political relationship that we are seeing among the political class, they benefit to an extent that, sometimes they do not really care about the interest of the people of Kenya, but their interests come first. What do you have to say about that, Brother Barak?
Well, thank you, Mark. Unfortunately, the elective positions, there is no law that restricts people from vying, even if they come from the same family, as opposed to appointment positions. Because, democracy, if you are able to convince people and they vote for you, a simple majority, if it's not the presidency. And world over, that is how it is. Even if you look at the American presidency, you remember President George W. Bush was the son of President George Bush, who was the previous president. And if you remember, his brother was a governor. And if you look at even of the Clintons, Clinton was the president. His wife became the senator, and also vice for the presidency. So these things of and if you look at the John F. Kennedy, the Kennedy's family, all of the 4 brothers were politicians, and others served in one of as the president, who was the last to be assassinated in the US. others were senators, and so on and so forth. The only difference is that in Kenya, it is people are coerced, and because Kenya's politicians are like worshipped in some areas, so you find that they once, for example, in some section, once a leader pronounces that this is the candidate that we are going to have in this region or in this by election, you find that the people just vote for that candidate. They don't care about his capability to serve. Sometimes it is called sympathy vote because maybe the seat was in that family. But that is how it is. Even if you look at Eugene Wamalwa, when his brother Kijana Wamalwa died, people voted for him. But later on, you can see he is now loitering around and claiming that he can do something for the country. And you look at even Musalia Mudavadi, when his father died, he was taken from the classroom to parliament and given the finance minister. And when he was the finance minister, Kenya underwent Goldenberg scandal, the biggest in the history of Kenya, that crippled Kenyan's economic capacity. So you find that this is not about the capacity, it's about people who are in position of influence, marketing you to the electorate, and now they are electing you. But there is no law that stops that. Yeah. Sometimes we've seen brothers serving as members of parliament. We've seen Norman Nyaga was serving as member of parliament for Kamkunji. His brother was Joe Nyaga serving for member of parliament from their rural home. You've seen Tim Wanyonyi serving as a member of parliament in Westlands. His brother Mwetangula, senator from Bungoma, and now he's now the speaker. So we've seen relatives. Look at now the Odinga's family. One is a woman rep, another one Yala, member of parliament, and others are in government, another is a senator. So as long as you can convince people to elect you, there is no law that stops that. It only becomes a problem when these are appointment positions, because because I know there is some kind of regional balance when it comes to appointments, and that is not allowed. But now, the problem now, that's why I'm saying that the problem now is upon us, the electorates. Do we really understand that with people that you are electing, simply because they are related with the deceased, are they able to perform? Yeah. And we've seen that. You remember Governor Joyce Laboso, whose the sister died in a plane crash, Lona Laboso, and she was elected member of parliament, and she later on became governor. And she really did pretty well in Bomet when she was there. So sometimes we find people who can perform, sometimes we find people who are just there, mediocre, who are just there because maybe their father or their mother or their brother or sister was there. So they just come in and they just draw salaries from the public office without really understanding their role. So that is the problem of democracy. And sometimes democracy works against the people because of how people are elected through democratic means. Democracy is not about meritocracy. Democracy is about the masses. Can you convince the masses? Yeah. Can you convince the masses to elect you? And once the masses elect you, then you become a governor. You hold that position. Whether you can perform that position or not, that's now is not the business of democracy. Democracy just allows you to have someone who is popularly elected, and that's it. And that has led to many people ascending to power, people who don't have the capacity, comparing to the deceased. For example, if you look at the capacity of Kijana Wamalwa compared to his brother, you will see world apart. If you look at someone, for example, someone like Kipkalia Kones, when he was the member of parliament, and also he later became the cabinet minister. If you compare his capacity with Beatrice Kones, who was his wife, who inherited his position because he died in a plane crash, you will just see world apart. Sometimes we've seen a leader dying and the sons are brought on board. These sons are just spending time chewing miraa here, and then they cannot even articulate any issue at all affecting their people. So it depends with individual capacity where a leader is able to perform. And sometimes those who are brought on board have no clue, but because of blood relationship, they have given the position. But now democracy dictates that someone who gets the majority of the votes becomes the winner. Back to you, Mark.
Okay, thank you. Miguda, do you want to say something about that before we move to the next topic? Miguda?
We can just move into the next topic.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know whether you saw this. Ndindi Nyoro was moved from the lucrative budget and appropriate committee to diaspora and immigration workers committee. Maybe you can give your take on that. Why that might have happened? Is it because of his consistent attack on the government? And then something else that has also been trending so much is I don't know if you remember the former member of Kesses, I think so, Dr. Mishrap. There's this thing that is really trending about the kidney trade probe, and it was found that this hospital Medill was involving or getting themselves in what we call illegal transplant of organs. And the people of Kenya are asking, do you think we are safe? Do you think the people of Kenya are safe in this kind of environment? Because majority of people who are poor, who cannot really afford so many things, and now wamefika point yenye wana volunteer even to give part of their organs. But then what then follows is they get serious complications, and they end up using a lot of money, even a lot of money that is more than what they were given. And they are crying all over. And these people are taking the kidney, they're selling these things at a very higher rate prices. Miguda, what is your take on this?
I believe that Kenyans have never been safe, and Kenyans are always not safe based on the condition and the structure of the leadership, the cultural structure of leadership from time memorial. So when you find some people trying to commercialize their organs for benefits, I believe that is a serious issue, because you understand the issue of one of the organs in your body. And if it is being done by one of us, I think there's a problem. And I think there are regulations to do that. On the Medill Health Center, on the so-called person, they need to undertake the regulation which is on, and in case there is any, they need to be subjected to such actions. I believe that it is the state whereby the government has started to, the government of the, because not only one government, we have had governments before. I think that culture, the systematic culture of the structure, has misplaced the people into what they should be doing, and that's why people have enrolled to other things. On the first question, when the KARIBU lawmaker was, I don't know, he wasn't chased in my view. I think his time came, his tenure expired, because you understand there's how you have to elect a new chair depending on the day you elected the chair. So it depends from one to another. I think the committee saw it wise that now he has also capacity to convince the committee to elect him, but that is how they decided. And whenever he's speaking right now, trying to contradict the position of the government in terms of revenue, in terms of debt, in terms of expenditure, it is within his right to air his opinion as a Kenyan and as a representative. So I don't see anything wrong with that one.
I don't know whether you're there. I don't know whether you're there. I think Biguda is having a problem with his network. To whoever is watching, this is Brother Benson Media. And here you say that your opinion counts. We are just trying to have a conversation on what is really happening in Kenya. And just like the topic says, why Ruto underlies, they're trying to convince Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka to join their team. And I think that is the next thing that we want to talk about at this particular time. Miguda, are you there? As I wait for him, allow me to once again read some few comments. Father Didi here is saying Mudavadi inherited his father Moses, but he's just okay. Good friend Gypsy is saying we have drama every day, nepotism, corruption, and loyalist rewards. And here I say Father Didi again is saying heartbreak, not my cup of tea, never. Yeah, so there are quite a number of comments. And if you are watching there and maybe you also want to join and give your comments, I've just shared a link at the comment section. You can just click the link, it will direct you to the studio. And, you can join and also give us your take on what you think about the topic that we are having tonight. Mr. Migura, there has been some, some talks. I don't know if you can hear me.
Loud and clear.
Okay, very well. Ruto's allies. There is, it is being said that not just his allies, but there are quite a number of members of parliament who are trying to court or to speak with Kalonzo Musyoka to join the side of the government so that they can work together. And there are several plans. I don't know whether you've been seeing the plans on, the kind of support that they need from him and how he might also get support or assistance from this government. And, Kalonzo sometimes comes out and say that he cannot and will not work with this government. There has been consistent, allies of the president visiting Ukambani region in pursuit of course, his support. We've seen quite a number of them holding what we call empowerment. And that brings me to this question. Mr. Miguda, what is your take on what Kalonzo can offer to this government and why the government or the president's party really needs him at this particular time? And do you think him coming forth would be an advantage to the president's supporters and his team? And if he decides not to go, not to come, and he decides to stick with the position, how is that again going to affect this other side of the government? Miguda?
Yeah, I have to admit that Kalonzo Musyoka is a key player in the current political environment and the future politics, because Kalonzo is having already an existing system. Remember, Kalonzo is having a governor or some governors. Kalonzo is having already members of parliament in the National Assembly and also in the Senate. Kalonzo as well is also having women rep, MCS. So he's someone who is already having an existing institution. So it is good to work with him because there are people currently don't have anything. Him is a plus. He's a plus in opposition or is a plus in the government. Right now, Kalonzo is supporting a huge followers, particularly from the Ukambani region. And based on the previous elections, Kalonzo almost gave Raila a victory. Remember Raila without Kambani votes. Kalonzo did a very good work because he pushed Raila almost to 6 million. So if you remove that Kalonzo, Raila could be around maybe 4.9 million or 5 million, and Ruto could be even 7 to 8. So Kalonzo is a factor to be reconsidered, and is coming with the people. There are people following him, and it's a system which has been moving for a quite long time. I consider him a force. But when he made a statement that he can never join hands with the government, that's where I can disagree with him, because people have made statements before in this country, but it's not easy to trust politicians. Maybe he cannot agree with the government currently because his demands have not been fulfilled, or he has declined the offer because there are some conditions he has actually laid down which has not been met by the government. Because Raila also said that I cannot have a handshake with someone who has shed more bloods. But today, it is what it is. So to me, I can never trust anyone from politician that I cannot do this, I can do this, because they only speak when it is convenient for them. That's when they speak. And when it will be convenient for him at the right time, I think he'll still make a decision. This is why I'm saying Kalonzo can easily work with Ruto, is because remember Kalonzo is also coming from Kanu. Those are the Kanu boys. People like Ruto, Kanu boys, Raila Kanu boys. So it's very easy for Kanu boys to merge in the forthcoming election, because these guys have worked before. They have worked before. It's very easy. That's why Raila was very easy for Raila to work with Ruto, because they have worked before as a team pursuing something. And that's why I was not in a hurry to outrule the fact that Gachagua can still work with Ruto. When it will be convenient for him, he can work with Ruto in the future. And there is no rigidity of our politics from the historical perspective that it cannot happen over my dead body. No, it has happened. Even over their corpse, it has happened. So I believe that going forward, there is still a lot to be predicted, and there's still a lot to be discussed. But currently, as a matter of fact, Kalonzo is in opposition. But the people who are in the government, particularly the wing, the Farouk wing, that wing of Kindiki, that wing of Kimani, that wing of Deputy President, they are wings of Kalonzo. They want support of Kalonzo. And the question also can rise. That's why I begin by telling you conditions are rare. You want Kalonzo. What are you going to offer Kalonzo? Are you going to offer Kalonzo Deputy President position? At the same time, you never know if the ODM are also claiming deputy position. Maybe the ODM are claiming to have a running mate. Kalonzo might also come with the condition that you must give me a running mate. That's when I can support you. Kindiki is also already there. So I think there's a lot to be discussed and predicted right now. But as the things stand right now, is in opposition, still try to bargain to talk. I believe in flexibility. I believe in flexibility and adaptability. That is my belief. I always believe that there is room for flexibility, there is room for adaptability, because we are not stagnant. We are progressing as human beings, and even naturally, from the time we establish our system, 1963 to date, we have to adapt. So in my adaptability and flexibility, I believe that anything can happen from now to 27. So I cannot outrule the fact that Kalonzo can work with Ruto. Actually can work with Ruto. Depending on the persuasion, depending on the interest, depending on the discussion, also depending on offer. That one can really happen. So I think that's my thought.
Okay, thank you so much. And
just grant me 1 minute from the. I've just seen the father's comment. I like what Father Didier just write on the comment section, as type on the comment section, because I gave an explanation without citation. I like what Didier just reminded me of something. Remember what he did in 2007. So that is the character we are dealing with. So such a character, you cannot trust or believe that character. He can swim irrespective of conveniency of that type.
okay, thank you so much. And I've just seen something here, and I remember we had talked about it. You remember the gentleman called Stephen Munyako, the Kenyan citizen who spent 14 years on death row in Saudi Arabia? He was received back in the country with his parents, and the mom was very happy. I remember we did speak about the same, so maybe I'll just give you a chance as well to give your few take on that matter, and then something else that that I wanted us to talk about is, we saw Baba Raila Amolo Odinga with Sifuna and with the chairperson of ODM, among other leaders. And remember, still there's a speculation out here, and at the same time, there's still this consistency that Sifuna ameenda. We did not really clarify this, Mr. Miguda. So, and he's the one who was reading the whole script about the stance of the ODM. Which kind of game do you think is happening here in ODM? The same time we saw the member of parliament from Obabay town, him is having a different conversation, and he's saying that they are sending Sifuna out. What is your take? I can see our good friend Mabele is also anashangaa, anasema Sifuna pia ameenda na ako na yuko na mambo ni mengi. What is your take? Maybe Mabela, I've shared a link. Unaweza ingia kidogo for maybe 10 minutes or 5 minutes, pia utupee tu maoni yako kwa haya mambo tumeongelelea, alafu tena we just call it a day. Miguda?
Yeah, I agree with you that mambo ni mengi. Our Kenyan who was having issues in the Saudi Arabia for around 14 years was received in the country. It's now confirmed that actually he's back home. That's a good thing, because you understand, a problem to one Kenya is a problem to all of us. So we should support our people home and away. And I'm glad that he's back, because you understand we are dealing with different jurisdictions. The Kenyan system and the Saudi system are two parallel systems. There's no any similarity. Saudi is a religious state, but Kenya is a democratic state, a constitutional democracy state. So you understand that in a constitutional democracy state, there are some rights and fundamental freedoms that, by the virtue that you are born as a human being, you have them, like the right to life. No one can subject you to death. Even our courts cannot subject you to death penalty, because the fact that you are a born human being, you are at liberty to live. Freedom of movement, no one can take it away from you. That is the good news of constitutional democracy state. But a religious state or a dictatorial state, a monarchical state, it varies from one point to the other. There's that rigidity. There can be that rigidity and there can be those what we call rates. So for such a person, maybe into the neighboring jurisdiction, maybe to them, like the Vietnam, you have to be hanged. Some people can be killed if you commit such offense, or you commit suicide if you commit such offense. So I think we are glad as a nation, and we should enjoy this our.
Okay, thank you so much, Meguda.
But let me just respond to one thing. I'm seeing a scenario whereby Sifuna is having a position as Sifuna, as Nairobi senator, but there's also position of the party as the party leader. Like the party leader decision binds all members, because what he read today actually is what Raila said, but whatever he said he by himself, he never read those things. So I think I have to explain to you into details when I was asked the issue of legality about it. So I think they were in a negotiation, and they came into a consensus that the decision of the party leader supersedes the decision or desire of SG. So I think that's how they came to conclusion. But Sifuna is not going anywhere, because he's not going to be kicked out to this, because you understand that he said, if you know, Sifuna is just a lawyer. He knows how to defend himself very well, because when he was asked by the journalist that, does it mean that you are now contradicting your statement? He said, no, it's the same thing I said. And he was asked again, is it now the party position? Said, yes, this is the party position. The same thing. So like, you are not crucifying me. Being a lawyer and a good one, he knows how to maneuver between the people and the party. So I think the next thing he will say that I said that until the people who gave me the job, and the people who gave him the job were Anyang' Nyong'o and Raila Odinga. And today you saw Anyang' Nyong'o and Raila Odinga in that press conference. They were present. So he will tell the public, or them, because he will be asked this in the television, that what are you doing in ODM? And you say you can go. He say, no, I told you people, the very people who gave me the job, until they say we have lost confidence in you, we have lost touch in you, go. That's when I'll go. But people like Aloma cannot kick me out. People like Jonette cannot kick me out. Members cannot kick me out. So I think that's how Sifuna will maneuver that question. But as I'm concerned, Sifuna is the SG of ODM and is going to respond to that question on TV, that I told you people until Nyong'o called me and chased me out. That's when I leave. But Nyong'o has not called me. Raila has not called me. Then the question will also come in the future that, okay, Sifuna, now you are here. You say that even if Raila support William Ruto, you will vote for another person. Now the ODM has taken a position to support William Ruto. What are you going to do? As a cunning heir, he's also a cunning heir. He will tell the people that is the position of the party and the ODM to support the government. But as for me, I'm also having my reservations. I'm going to vote for the person I am, because he's wooing the Nairobi senatorial seat, and you understand the nature of the composition of the population of Nairobi. And I think that's how he will get away with such questions, because he had prepared himself to the very end. When he was, when he was talking to Okwaro, if you look at him, he was just smiling, because he knew that these traps, I know I'll maneuver through these traps. But as a matter of fact, Sifuna is in ODM. Sifuna is working under instructions from Raila Odinga. Those are the realities which they cannot disclose to the public.
Thank you so much, good friend Joseph. Karibu.
Thank you, Brother Kevin. I just came to say hi. And, today you have seen the turn of events. I think Sifuna is gone. There is nothing to debate there about him, whether he's where or where. Now it's clear that ODM is in government. We don't need even to ask so many questions. They are inside and ndani kabisa. So there is no questions about that. We cannot ask even the people. They should not even keep asking ODM these questions. Are you in government? Today we have seen they're in government. And for Sifuna, Sifuna it's good. Let him toe the party lines. It's good for him. What will I say? It's good for him. Because when you toe the party lines, there's things you will feel yourself. You not talk to the public about it. Because now you said they are going to be supporting the government. I think those things are complicated, brother. And I think he's gone. He's gone. Let us not keep on asking about him. Let him continue doing the Lord's work. Ndio nimeona hapa Gypsy akisema labda isikuwe ni 50 ama the 300 million imefanya kazi. So I know the kind of politician Ruto is. So that is not a wonder. Today we heard that he has given Gachagua 10 billion. Gachagua told him I need 5 trillion. So it's not a wonder. And you hear him saying that they are going to sack Kindiki. So it's not a wonder. These politicians, me, I don't trust anybody of them. I don't trust none of them. Anybody. I don't trust any of them. That's why you see there in the comments, I'm saying Kenya in the end. Kenya is gone. And if you're not ready.
I get your take, Brother Joseph. But again, on the same matter, this is, this is a conversation that the people of Kenya have had. And what is it? What is it that is really happening? If on the other side, ODM is somehow out. On the other side, sisi hatuko kwa serikali. On the other side, sisi hao watu wafanyi vile sisi tunataka. What do you think is the hidden agenda here that, the common wananchis are not knowing? Because remember, this relationship is affecting the country. It is affecting the country. It is seriously affecting the country, And why is it that they are not able to come out and just to, clarify their stand on this on certain matters without coming up with stories which are not really helping the people of Kenya? And then maybe before after that, you can also give us your take on the issue of Kalonzo being courted or being followed by allies of the president, and then maybe you said umekuja kusalimia, tutakuwa tumeshukuru hayo bado.
For talking about Kalonzo, anything is possible. Me, I don't even put his faith in him. Anything is possible. That's why I told you all these politicians, they are playing games on us. They are there fighting for their own political interests. So no wonder you'll see the alignments that are going to happen. I'm not even going to be shocked Kenyan people being left alone on the cold. So it's not a wonder. I'm even Gachagua himself. don't also put him out of the box. He can be also inside that box. Nobody. These politicians, I trust nobody. I trust none of them. And they have shown us in record time they can be able to come and talk, and then we forget about them. So I don't trust none of them. So for Sifuna, Sifuna is conflicted, but what will he do? He need to toe the party lines and continue with what I heard our sister from Dagoretti North, Beatrice Alachi, saying, when Raila said left, you go left. When he's right, you go right. So if Raila and Ruto have said that ni left, Sifuna needs to go left. Hakuna kitu ingine imebakia kwake. But now the problem is, I think Sifuna was the person who got the highest vote in Nairobi. I think this time round, those votes will be of a problem. He'll get votes. Maybe he'll win even the Nairobi, but it will be not easy as the way it was in 2022. It will be hard. Because Nairobi and its complexity of how the population is dispersed in Nairobi. So I wish for him the best. What can we say? And thank you. I had come to greet you guys. Leo sina mambo mingi. Leo nime the turn of events are shocking me also.
Thank you so much. Maybe Migudo, you can give us your final remarks. Joseph ni kama ametupea zake, and then we'll just call it a day. Maybe you can, if there's anything else that is still pending that maybe you wanted to give your take, you can give, and then we call it a day. Joseph, kama Miguda umetoroka.
Sorry. I like what Father Dan is saying. People are being bashed here outside, but it's the truth. What we are saying is the truth. Right now, the way I see things going in Kenya, I don't see a chance. I see like everybody of these politicians, they have ganged up against the Kenyans. And let's wait and see what will happen within next month and days to come. What can we say? It's such a sad day that the opposition is dead. You know, the opposition is dead, Brother Kevin. There's no opposition because the guys who are in opposition now, they were not. Only Kalonzo was in opposition. The other guys were in. Some of them were in government. So there is no opposition now. The opposition
But
remaining also is like it's crumbling.
yeah,
Ukisikia watu
that's
wakisema
okay.
natembelewa. So
On that, Brother Joseph, maybe Migudo can also give his take on that. Brother Joseph, on a reality scale, if we are truthful, currently, of course, we have a government and we know the people in government. We have opposition and we know the people of opposition. All of them, and we know them. We know they are not white people. They are tainted people. On when we are speaking about realities of life and what we are supposed to expect as a people, Megoda, are you seeing any difference on the opposition side if we are supposed to speak the truth with the consistent calls from the young people? Do you think they're really out there to take these positions? Because even if we lose this government, the opposition come, we are going to have the exact people. Migudo, you can give us your take on that, and then your final remarks.
Hello. I'm saying I'm not seeing any difference from both the government and the opposition, because it's like both sides, no one is ready to let go. Each and every side is fighting hard to ensure that they retain the status quo. They never want to give opportunity to the young people. So it's like there are push and pull between the young people from the government and from the opposition. And I don't see any hope for the young people in this country. And also, to me, there's no difference between the government and opposition, because the same faces have been there before and they're going to be there before. So if you have this face and this face, so it's the same thing. So I think we have been there, and also we are facing similar challenges. The government and the opposition, both of them, are the same faces we have been seeing before. So I don't see any much difference from both camps, and I don't see any much opportunity given to Kenyans and young people from the same camp. That's how I can put it. But the issue in opposition at large, opposition still can be compromised. And today, what we saw and really shocked many people like Joseph, what Sifuna read, that is the position of the party, like I've said before. So, going forward, this debate of whether the government or not, it has been closed. The ODM party is in government. The ODM party, are you getting? But no one is forcing people to be there. So if you are in ODM, you don't want to go to the old government, just be outside. But remember, your party leader and your leadership structure, they have resolved that they are working in the UDA government. So that is the position of the party. I think that is now clear. And any time we say they are in the government, let them not come and confuse people that they are not. So going forward, I think the supporters of ODM have been removed from that confusion, and now they are in the government. It's now clear from the party. They have made their sound clear to their supporters. Makubura, back to you.
Okay, thank you. I can see Brother Ben, and I wanted to ask him the same question. Brother Ben, we've seen a lot of conversation directed to ODM, and there has been a lot of confusion where people, as some members late. I think the last message that we had, even from the member of parliament of Homa Bay Central town, was that they're throwing him out. And again today we saw Sifuna with senior officials of ODM. And so the people are asking, Amanda, Ako, Ayuko, what is happening? You can give us your take on that. And then the issue of Kalonzo. Allies of the president are trying to look for him and to woo him with all means, giving him all kind of words. Do you think Kalonzo will come and support the president? And what will he get? And if he comes, how is that going to change the politics of opposition? If he fails and maintains being in opposition, how is that going to affect the KK government? You can give us a take on those two comments, Brother Ben.
Especially for Kalonzo, can we have detailed discussion about it tomorrow? We can have this as our topic for tomorrow so that we can discuss and look at how is Kalonzo, the situations of Kalonzo, and how important Kalonzo is to opposition. At the same time, why is the government wooing Kalonzo Musyoka? Because they cannot woo him if they feel he doesn't have insignificant, especially when it comes to insignificant, say, when it comes to politics. But now, coming to ODM working with government, I think, to me, it is not something that would take me by surprise. It's not something that has taken me with surprise, because the history has it that ODM has worked with administration of President Kibaki. ODM has worked with President Uhuru Kenyatta. ODM has worked with, now he's working with President William Ruto. Is it not something that is very new, especially? And the way they've always worked with the government, and the way they've always joined it, it's the same formula. Remember, especially for Moi, it was about the IPPG. That was being talked about. Later, the LDP was swallowed by KANU, and Raila was given the Secretary General of KANU. And for 2027, for 207, 208 is a special case, because there was a dispute in election whereby you could not at least say that who won the election, but sources are, and what people are saying in the public domain, that the 207, 208 election, Raila won. So that one was a very special one, because it was anchored in law, and it was structured in law, whereby there were co-presidency, whereby Raila was given equal ministry. They all shared the ministerial post. Somebody would have the minister post, then the assistant minister would come from other co-party, So it was a co-presidency. So that one was a special case. Then we came to Uhuru Kenyatta. We also saw the Right Honorable Prime Minister working with Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta under the BBI, and then now is working with President William Ruto. So what I'm learning is that everything that happened, remember when we were having the first discussion, I told you, when you saw what happened when the Right Honorable Prime Minister came and had an interview, and the interview did not do well, among things that we picked from that interview was about forming of a special unit that was supposed to look into the memorandum of understanding. That was a preparation. You are preparing public in advance of what is going to happen. Then what happened again, there was the issue of conclave, So that one also we are seeing today in the report. And then Sifuna came. And Sifuna, I think when he came for the interview, he came with the blessing of the Baba. And this was to create, to me right now, what I see, it was to create confusion. So that when they create confusion, then the party now decides that, okay, there's an issue that we are dealing with, especially what the public outcry and the ODM as a party. So when the party organ came out and had through the other resolution, you could see the technocrat that Sifuna said that he said he's not going to join that, and also you could see the conclave. But now, to crown it all, to make the people believe that now this is something that is going to deal with the national issue, the issue of devolution is brought in, of 400 and something million, if you check at that. So that one's to make you, but in the real sense, now you ask yourself, because like this is an MOU between the UDA and ODM, or the Kenya Kwanza and ODM. What about other partners like the Kalonzo Musyoka and all that? Because like the main issue of this is something that is touching on the national core. We want to bring country together. And if you remember in prior, the main issue, even the Right Honorable Prime Minister coming with President William Ruto, was to unite the country. It was about the unity. So you see how the negotiation has moved the posts, from donating the expert to stabilize the government, to signing memorandum of understanding, and now to bring in the conclave. So it is a journey that in politics it usually happens, and this one, to me, I would say that it brings down the momentum, because like now people will be focusing on how we do not want the conclave, we want the conclave. It will be something in the discussion, and that one will take place again. If you look at everything that has been lined on that, even majority of their scholars and the lawyers, ask anybody, everything that want to be implemented with those technocrats, those things falls under the door of our constitution. Our constitution has provided avenues on how you can solve all those. Is that like in our country, we are a country of duplication of roles. We are creating mess, then we want to solve those messes. We create it because like is something that we create. But also the constitution gives the ODM the freedom of association. They can decide to have freedom of association and on who to interact with. But at the same time, because the laws allow that, there are avenues that the party should use so that it can be anchored in constitution. Remember, there's a post-election agreement that usually happens. So I feel if they were joining to work with Kenya Kwanza, in an ideal situation whereby we say that we are a country of rule of law, we could have had what we call the post-election agreement, whereby it's going to be deposited with the registrar of a political party. Remember, how is the ODM going to support the government? Do they share that ideology? Yes, so which means you have to support everything that the government is doing, because now the government is not now a KK government. As we speak right now, it is a broad-based government. And this broad-based government is formed with the KK and ODM. But is that one registered with the register of political parties? Maybe Miguda can help us, especially when it comes to law, because our constitution allow a situation whereby a political party, it doesn't matter, you can merge to fight for the same cause. Because if ODM feel that KK government was unstable and now they are coming in to form in one government, instead to offer it support, they could have done through the constitutional means by having a post-election agreement, which should be deposited with the registrar of political parties. But this one is not done. So that one also begs the question of enforceability of that. Is not anchored, is not structured. It is a gentleman agreement between ODM and UDA. So that is what I think.
Okay, thank you. Maybe Moto wa Mzambe.
Yeah, ni mimi. I've heard Brother Benson talking about something which is very funny. You cannot know the composition of the government now, because they have hidden it in whatever they are calling broad based. There is nothing within the law, there is nothing called broad-based. Kenya Kwanza government is in power. There is no broad-based. Now the problem is ODM can try to hide in that when they are going for elections, if they are going to come out of this alignment in 2027 after. But as of now, what people know, they know there is a broad-based government, but they know there is no broad-based government, which is the Kenya Kwanza government. And the experts are the one who are taken. That's what we are told. The experts were the ones who are given out. They were dished out to KK. So I don't know why members of parliament they cannot be able to oversight, because if the experts are the ones who went, does it mean it is the whole parliament who went to the government? So that's why Brother Benson is not vague. So that question is not anchored upon law. It is anchored upon negotiations and conclaves. That is what is anchoring that.
And that's why I tell you what could have happened in a normal circumstances, especially our law envisage that after election, there's what we call the pre-pack. You can have a pre-pack before election, whereby you say, as a party, what we are going to do, we are going to work with you. So you sign those and deposit them with the register of political party. That is them. And also, after election, there's what we call the post-pack. And this post-pack, if they could have registered that post-pack with the register of political parties, then they come up and they name it as a broad-based or Kenya Kwanza, because now ODM will have to work with the policies of Kenya Kwanza. And them themselves as ODM, they could also started to exit the Azimio, because, they are signing all this, yet they've not exited from Azimio, the coalition that they had, the pre-pack. So that's why I agree with you in totality that there's no government that is called broad-based, and the Constitution does not recognize that. But there are some laws that if they could have followed by coming up with a coalition or coming up with a merger, and that merger would have been deposited by the register of political party. So name of that merger could have been official because they followed the due process of the law, what Constitution requires. But since they did not do that, the broad base is not recognized in terms of law. Maybe Miguda can assist us when we talk about law. It is not recognized. But if they could have deposited their post-election agreement now with the register of political parties and giving the name of their coalition, then it would be okay to call it the name of that coalition that they've registered with the register of political parties. Or Miguda, maybe that is what I think.
Okay, if you can hear me, Makobura, can you hear me? Okay. I think what you're trying to say to me is the Political Parties Act. And when it is the Political Parties Act, not the Constitution, you can confuse between the Constitution and the Political Parties Act, and also electoral laws. So they are quite distinct. So if you go to the Political Parties Act, you can have a merger before election, or what you call pre-merger, whereby you can merge parties to form a coalition, and you deposit it to the political party, and it's being recognized by the IBC, like Azimio, Kenya Kwanza, like Jubilee, like CORD, like NASA. Those are pre. Then when you go to the post after elections, you can have a merger through bipartisan, whereby parties can come together and have it. But that's why I was a of this issue of leader of minority and majority, because it's been done in parliament. Don't look at it as the opposition and the government. So the bipartisan approach, whereby the majority and minority can decide to work together, and they have now to get rid of the pre-agreement, like in the case of ODM and the Kenya Kwanza. So they abandon their pre-pacts and establish their post-pact and deposit the registered political party. So they work together. That's what we have been insisting, that if they're in government, that's what Kalonzo was asking. Why can't you leave Azimio? And why can't you surrender the minority to us? Because it's like it is anchored in the law, but you are doing it, but you are not ready to commit yourself to establish it. I think that's my understanding concerning that issue.
So let me just according to that political act, and they now what you say that they've not surrendered as we speak right now. So the government they have now, it doesn't exist in terms of a political parties act. It's just a man-to-man memorandum of understanding.
Yeah, in my view, it doesn't exist in terms of bipartisan approach, whereby there's that post-agreement and people have left their seats, people have started their seats, and now they are working UD and ODM. What we have right now is a man-to-man agreement, whereby through MOU, and that's why I say there's an offer from the president and acceptance from Raila, and they are working as man-to-man. But it ought to have been done in accordance with the law.
So for instance, and this is where I think like both the parties are aware of what they're doing, and they do not want to make it to go according to the law, because they know if they do that, there are some positions that, especially like public account committee, the ODM will have to lose it. Like there's no way.
Sure.
Yeah, the public account committee will have to lose it. You have to lose the minority seat.
I think, Brother Benson, I think ODM wants to have his cake and eat it at the same time. You cannot be saying you cannot. That's why you don't see them. Don't want to take that agreement and sign it or be in that coalition pact, because they know if you start doing like that, you need now to start preparing for positions from the in Senate, in Parliament, all these positions, and also in also in the executive. So that's why I think they are hesitating to, and also they are playing that that politics of wacha niingize, wacha nitoe, wacha niangalie, wacha ni they are one foot is inside, one foot is outside. So that is the game they are playing. And today was just a show of the continuation of the leg is inside, the show of bado tuko ndani, and that one will continue until 2027, maybe the first month of 2027. And it's not a wonder you'll see ODM saying that they are going to have their own candidate for presidential elections. I think they are just mark timing there. But I also think KK is also looking at them and looking at what they are doing. Also them see ati bado hata hawajui kile kinachezwa. So if you hear some of the, but some leaders also are afraid, like akina Ishongwa, they know that when the KK will enter, ODM will enter into nini, wanaweza chukua hizo viti zao. So some of them can be talking on a point of tunapoteza kazi. And so, like today you see after they made the agreement, what happened in Bunge? After they made the press conference, what happened in the parliament? Atandi was made the chair of budget and all these things that were remaining. I think even Ruto had held these positions and told them, if kama hamtakubaliana na mwambie Sifuna aache mambo ya kunipiga, na mimi sitakubaliana na hizi mambo za kupitisha watu wakuwe committee chairs. So ni muitikie. I think there is a game being played. Watu wote wawili waoneshani kadi zao. Mmoja anaficha kadi yake, so when he says anamwambia wekelea yako, ndio na mimi niwekelea yangu. So that is what is happening.
Maybe before you leave, there's something that I really observed and we did not talk about it, especially the way Sifuna conducted himself with the media personality. You cannot restrict, especially in an open questioning like that. Especially people would want to know the stand of the party and yourself. So you see, like he was very much restrictive on what he wants you to ask him. I don't know whether that, though they have that leeway, especially you would want somebody to be asked. But if something is in the public of public domain, and people want to know, especially based on what has happened within a period of 2 weeks, especially your comments and now the stand of the party. Do you agree with what the party is saying, or what you read, or what? But he was not ready to go there. I don't know whether it's my observation or somebody else observed that.
Yeah, and I did not like the way he answered the media. It's better he could have said no questions. It could have been easy for him to say no questions after he has read the MOU, the statement that they made. He could have just said there is no question, because it came of him like rude. It's like he was talking to those people like rude. When you ask something and then you start saying his motion, I did not like the way he said it. It's better he could have said no questions, and they finish, and we have seen politicians say no questions, and they can do that after, when they want to do it in the media. But we'll watch it. We'll watch him. Somebody will be coming to the media of the coming days is going to come to the media, and we are going to hear, because akiwa kwa station ataelezea vizuri what he meant by all this. Tutaelewa.
Oh, oh. I wanted to say that, the reason why you can find it is very hard for the ODM people to allow themselves to enter into the agreement formally. It could be maybe they are not ready to lose their position or their seats, because it's like if you enter into the agreement formally with the UDA, it's like you're gonna lose your seat at the same time. It's like UDA gonna swallow ODM. So I think they are trying to be very careful, and also UDA is gonna try that if we get into agreement with the ODM, like now we are signing the post pact, we are going to lose some of the crucial position in the CS, or even in the appointment of the deputy IG, for instance. You understand, those National Intelligence Service, the DPP, understand those very critical positions. Maybe we are going to lose. So it's better we remain this way without agreeing formally, because it benefits us as the KK. And not even at the same time, it's benefit them because they are not going to lose their seat and also their money, because there are too many. Even after they have rated as an expert, you see some people like Juliet was still minority, mainly minority whip. So I think that could be the game they are playing, and now they have decided to let it be in formal agreement, and they move forward.
And I agree with you, because it also undermined the spirit of parliament democracy, because what usually happens, especially if you make such argument, because like before enter into agreement, Miguda, especially, or before signing any agreement, I think the law requires that you have to sign something that you have knowledge over. You cannot just decide to sign something that you do not. So if today the higher organ body has now decided, okay, now we are going to work with the Kenya Kwanza. And what really surprises me was that if you've already agreed that we are going to work with the government, then why again forming a technical committee that is going to see on how this implementation are going to be done, yet you are already in government? How does it work? So those are now some of the things that I would say that those are the gray areas, especially that ODM, especially they are not ready to, especially to come out clear on, especially like you're already in the government. Then why then do you have to form a task force to work between the UDA and Kenya Kwanza, or the Kenya Kwanza and ODM? Because like now you've agreed that your policies and everything that you are going to do is the benefit of wananchi. So what you are going to do, especially in the government, at least the public maybe should not know what you're going to do. You just let us do it, and the public can notice that through the services that is going to happen. For instance, we are going to see that the taxes are lowered, especially we are going to see that the cost of living has really gone down. We are going to see maybe the employment of young people. We are going to see the production, because like, when you look at the production of basic needs of Kenya, you find that majority of things that we are importing, including us, these are basic needs. So if your production, especially even the basic need, you cannot have that production, it means the taxes will have to go up. Yeah, so that is something we are going to see on how the medical sector and all that is working. So because now you've agreed to be in government, so you don't need that implementation. So it's something that inside job that you would do as a party or as a government now. Yeah, so that is what I think.
And maybe just to add on one thing, maybe the KK government has already been established and the train has already left the station. Maybe there are things they have put in play, and if you're allowed to bring somebody else, maybe in the paracetal or maybe in the CS position, that you face only person and affordable housing. I think those are the reasons why they are not ready to make it formal.
Oh, but what stands, because like now when you look at the issue of affordable housing, is illegal and the money is being deducted from payers' money. So that is a baggage that ODM will have to have, especially because remember, this is not the first time this is happening to ODM. Remember when they worked with President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, and when the current president, deputy president, was castigating the ODM for stopping there were four agenda, 4-item agenda. That
Big four agenda.
Yeah, the big four agenda, and that was the major campaign line for President William Ruto, the current president, especially for ODM to come and interfere with the big four agenda, and which means everything that happened, especially during the last term of the president, especially ODM usually took that baggage, and those are some of the pointers that led the majority people to vote. Yeah. So how are they going to handle this? Because remember, the current administration has so many things that they are carrying with them, especially, which actually they've not given answer over. Talk about the Gen Z, talk about the abduction, talk about all those, there are so many questions that is being asked about that. How will ODM, especially after working with them, how will you fail to take that responsibility? Talking about the compensation, or especially for the victim, especially the violence, the violence victims. If the compensation is not done, remember, we are talking about compensation between 2007 to 2008 until today. Some of them have never been compensated. Talking about even the 2023 Sufria movement, there are people who lost their life. Have they been compensated? And now we have the Gen Z. So the question is, what criteria are you going to use to compensate all this? Does it mean that you are going to compensate the Gen Z? If you do with the Gen Z, then the 2023 also will be here waiting for you. What criteria did you use, especially? So as they join the government, or as they in the government, there are so many questions that especially they will have to answer. And this one will be a baggage for them, especially in 2027 when they will be running for election, because they will be asked those questions. So that is something that they also have to bear in mind. Maybe at the time of entering into this agreement by saying that we want to stabilize the government, which is true, but what about the responsibility or the baggage that it comes with? Are you ready to bear or to carry those cross? So that is something that I would also, yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with your comments, and it is true that ODM needs to accept certain things. That one, they're going to carry the baggage of the failed, the baggage of the failed government. Should the government fail, it is already in the trajectory or in the way, on its way to failing. So they should be able to they should be aware that they're going to handle that. They're going to be told that they were part and parcel. And the fact of the matter is that they are part and parcel because they donated their senior official members from the ODM. And because of those senior experts, so they call them experts, they're trying to, I think that is what is binding them, or, restricting them from getting out of that marriage.
Okay. And maybe just to remind you before I leave, before you conclude, Makubura, sorry for cutting you. And remember, if you go back in 2022 general election, when president was campaigning, president used to take the credit. Then he was the deputy president. He used to take credit for good things that the government did, the Jubilee government did, but not to take responsibility of the failures of the Jubilee. So the failures were thrown at Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. And remember, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta was supporting the candidate, the candidate of Raila Amolo Odinga. So you find that all the failures actually was a campaign tool for the campaign tool for the camp of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. And I don't know how this one is going to happen, especially with ODM coming in, whether they will only tend to take the achievement that has been made during their tenure, and the failures will go to the Kenya Kwanza. I don't know how they are going to portion or how they are going to share the failures and the progress of the administration of President William Ruto. Thank you, Makobura.
Okay, thank you. I also agree. Just like I did say, it is true that it's not going to be easy for ODM. The earlier they got out of that government, the better for them. But if they don't, they are part and parcel, fully part and parcel, and there's no way they're going to justify or to come out and justify to the people of Kenya that they were not, because it is on record that senior members of that party are currently holding big positions in this government. And I think the reason why it was tough for ODM to make the decision of exiting government is because, even if they leave today, there's nothing too special outside here. And I think they have seen the sense. So wanajiambia ya kwamba whether they're out or in, it is good that they are in because wanapata something. They're getting some, but if suppose they were not out, they were out, they would not be getting what they're getting now. So I think they've looked at all those things, and again, they're also trying to look at the future. Na ni kama wao wanaona ya kwamba the future is unknown. And they're coming up with that narrative because of what they've always gone through as a party. They've never won any presidential election. And I think some realities, I don't know whether that to call it reality or what. Some of them have the fear that we are not going to get it. So let us just stick with this person. We might tunaweza know sahi mambo kidogo kidogo.
Makobura, before Miguda comes in, to me, what I think this is a perfect opportunity for ODM to join because the Constitution allows them. Because in the long run, the good judgment will be history will judge ODM. The history of the country will judge ODM as they have always been judged by the history of joining the government. The history can judge you positively or history can judge you negatively. Then this one will depend with the outcome of the joining of government. If they manage to implement all that is saying, so that that stabilization of the government will be realized, then the Kenyan people will celebrate. But if they don't and the thing stay the way they are, then the Kenyans will question the motive of them. Why did they then join the government? And that is my take, Makobura. Then I will join you. I'm done.
Okay, thank you so much, Miguda. Maybe what is your take on those matters before we move?
I believe that if that is their conviction to join government, sometimes it's within their political right or they're at liberty to decide on where to be. We cannot compel them to be in a position and they are not willing. So I think it's something that like a right association, whereby you have to associate with whoever you feel like. So to me, let them just have their pact, and the people should just focus and also see on how to do their politics, because if you focus too much on them, they're gonna confuse you and you're gonna lose focus on the clarion call to ensure that we establish a good governance in the country. I think they are part of the problem, and if we can get rid of the entire KK and the ODM in one election, that could be good news. So if they have decided to regroup and decide to be by themselves to defend their friends and colleagues and properties, of course they have protected the country. That's how the citizens also should try to come together and unite.
Good. Are you there? Okay, thank you so much to our viewers. I think Miguda is having a problem with his internet. I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge and to say a big thank you to Gypsy Corner. Thank you so much for being with us for all this time. Father Didi, asante sana. Me Perspectiva, thank you so much. Joseph, thank you so much. Langat, Msema Ukweli, asante sana. And, you know, everyone who joined and in one way or another commented or participated in this conversation by the comment section, we really appreciate. And if you are watching for the first time, this is Brother Benson Media, and here we say your opinion counts. You can like and subscribe to the channel if you've not done so. Miguda?
Can you hear me?
Finish your statement, yeah.
I was saying that is now their liberal decision to work with whoever they want to work. It should not be a big issue, because already they have rated their expert. They have been working with them before. The only question which was at stake, we were asking if they are in or they are out, but they have confirmed to us that actually they are in, they aren't out. I believe we will live with the reality and focus on the pressing issues other than who is in, who is out. Whether they are in the more of a mongrel system or a legitimate system, doesn't matter. What matters is if you can get all of them. In fact, if you can get the entire government, that's KK and ODM, and the entire opposition, we put them into one basket against the people. Then to apply the so we have a new structured system. I think that was my point.
Final remarks?
Okay, thank you for that. My final remarks. First, let me appreciate you and Bro Ben, Barack, Mabella number 1, that is Joseph Kariuki, for coming to the show and also try to enable us to make this point home. I also want to appreciate our viewers. I saw Father Didi, I saw Irene Rware, I saw Me Perspectiva, I saw Gypsy Corner. I was also able to see, I think, Polytech or Irene. I was able to see only those people. And also I saw Moderator. I think it's a new person. We appreciate you. We feel great for you to give us your audience and also give feedbacks. We appreciate you. And thank you so much. See you next time. Bye.
Okay, thank you so much. Just like you said, allow me to also say a big thank you to our supporters and our viewers. We really appreciate you taking time to be with us and to join us and to support us. We really appreciate. And just like I did say, if you've not liked, kindly like. Wale ambao hawaja subscribe pia kindly subscribe. This is Brother Benson Media, and here we say your opinion counts. Allow me to take this opportunity to wish you all a blessed night, a blessed evening, a blessed morning, a blessed afternoon, a blessed evening from wherever you're watching us from. Thank you so much, and may God bless you. See you again tomorrow. Bye-bye for today.